Hi yogis! Today we are talking about forward folding. This has been on my mind lately because I get a lot of questions about back care and yoga. People want yoga to support their back issues as they walk about their daily life. Well, while you are practicing said yoga, forward folding can actually do the opposite, and over time doing that same forward folding motion for your body that's not optimal can do just as much damage as the activities that we do in our daily life, like our sitting where we fold and hinge at the hips, being on the computer or a phone where we're rounding through our shoulders. We spend a lot of time in our daily lives rounded forward. So we don't necessarily even need a lot of forward folding in our practice, but when you do it, then you need to do it intelligently for your body because we are modern yogis. So what is our intention with forward folding? Let's start there. We're trying to stretch the back. We're trying to lengthen through our spine. We're also trying to strengthen the core, which is everything from here to here. And it's just not your appendages. It's the front side, it's the back side, it's everything that holds you all up nice and tall in a good solid posture. We strengthen the core when we forward fold. Another intention is to create a calming and soothing effect because our head is dropping below our heart. So anytime that you invert or do an inversion, that's the effect that you may benefit from. So let's work on that folding intelligently by starting with a couple of not optimal ways of forward folding. We have two regular versions. We have the swan dive, where the arms may reach up to the sky first, and then as we hinge forward with locked, long, straight legs, we start to tilt the pelvic. The bottom comes up. We have that big dip swoop in that low back. Our chest is forward. Our head is cranked up. And then we bring it down to the ground, to the floor. That's one version. That's the swan dive. The second one is the nose dive. And that's kind of the opposer. Reach the arms up. Maybe they stay up or maybe they come to the sides. And then we hinge from the belly instead of the hips. And we big round through the spine. All the way down and reach towards the floor. And then we bring it all up in the exact opposite way. The swan dive and the nose dive are not really optimal for a couple of reasons. They can cause discompression and they can also cause muscle strain because we're not centering our weight and we're not allowing our legs and other parts to do some of the work in this forward fold. So let's talk about what we can do in a forward fold to help our modern yogi bodies. We're going to try to keep the torso and the pelvic working together for about half to 2/3 of this journey. We're going to keep the knees bent softly or even greatly. This is going to work a couple of great ways. For the hamstrings, to take the strain out of them and to ask them to do less because they're not meant to take that forward fold all by themselves. Our legs are going to come into play to help support our weight and support our torso as it comes forward. And it's also going to take that center of gravity and place it back over the feet, back over the pelvic, instead of forward, which we tend to do in the swan or the nose dive. We reach that chest forward, right? So pelvic, torso work together for most of the journey. And then the soft bend or the great bend into our knees. As we do those two things, we're going to contract the abdomen lightly, front and the back side, to keep us nice and long and take some extra weight and support off of those joints, okay? So either the arms up or to the sides, and as we bring it down, my knees are bent. I'm taking it nice and slow to show you. I've got a nice long back. I even have a little dip in my lower section, but not a great one. My feet are about hips distance wide. They can be even wider. I'm following with my chest and my heart down, and then eventually I'll start to round a bit more, bringing it down, and I might even invite a bigger bend as I come down to the ground. And on my lift up, I'm going to take all of that in reverse. So maybe the arms reach to the side. I'm going to lead with my chest. I'm hinging at the hips and starting to work my way up, bringing my torso and pelvic into moving with each other. I still got that big bend in the knees. And then I bring it down. So that's more or less a better alignment, a more modern idea for our biomechanics. 3 things I want to mention with our fold: the head and the neck. So as I was coming down, as with our swan dive, sometimes we bring that chin up and we crank into that back neck. I'm trying to keep a neutral neck and it's long with my spine. Sometimes teachers will look up and at the room and you think, oh, my head needs to be lifted too. Keep your head nice and long and in line with the spine. That means you're looking down more or less. And the same on your way back up, right? Okay, arm options. Do you have to have them raised? Do you have to have them out to the side? Absolutely not. Both versions add extra weight forward into that torso. So if you're needing to opt out of them entirely, hands to heart center. Bring it down. Another option, hands at the hips. Another option, hands at the sides. You do not have to have the arms lifted. You do not have the arms out. Maybe you've got something going on your shoulders. Maybe you just don't want the extra weight. Doesn't matter. You do you. So head, arms, and then the last one, which is I think the most valuable and important of all, the permission to skip it. There's always options. If you're taking a ragdoll pose and you're supposed to be bent forward and swaying or doing whatever is being cued as suggestions, and you don't want to forward fold, take some side stretches. Take an extension of the spine instead. Work the shoulders in circles. Do anything else that serves you. If you're doing sun salutations, whether it's classical or it's A or it's B, and we go up and then we come down and then we reach it back, skip it, okay? You can always reach the arms up, maybe take a little extension instead, hold for an extra breath, and then whatever cue follows, if it's come down to a low lunge and step back, come to a low lunge. If it's coming to knees or to plank, then lower yourself there accordingly and skip the forward fold. You can skip it when it's called for being on the floor. You can take a lesser version once you're on the floor. Same applies, you're just seated, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you once more a nice solid alignment that is more optimal for your body. And keep in mind that the head and neck and the arm options are all there for you. So we're going to stand nice and tall and upright. And option to do what you please with the arms, either raise them up or bring them to the sides or some other version. And I'm going to take a soft bend into my knees, let the weight shift right over the legs, the feet. I'm contracting my torso to stay nice and long through the neck, all the way down to the tailbone. And then about halfway, maybe more, start to lower the arms. I round a little bit through the upper spine. My head and neck are nice and heavy and long. And then on the way up, I reverse it all. I start to lift. Eventually, the spine comes to lengthen with the neck. Now my torso and my pelvic are moving together. I'm contracting through the belly to lift, lift, lift using my legs because I've got that bend in my knee. Bringing the arms up or not. And then bringing them down. Nice work. Remember that at the end of the day, you've got to live in your body. You've got to move in your body. So do only work on the mat that serves you. Having a bend in the knees is not a modification. It's not a lesser version of the pose. It's a more intelligent way of folding for your modern yogi body. I hope that you enjoy these tips and found them useful, and stay tuned for the practice of forward folding. Namaste.